The mountain where time stands still, the ocean of dust. We begin not with the stone, but with the sand. Before the monuments rose, before the river cut its path through the valley, there was only the endless, golden floor of the desert. It is the oldest thing we know. It is an ocean without water, a sea of silence that has swallowed armies and cities and eons. Let us stand there now. Imagine that you are standing on the Giza Plateau, but it is not the Giza of the day. The sun has vanished beyond the western horizon, taking with it the heat and the noise of the living world. The tourists are gone. The camels are asleep in their stalls. The modern lights of Cairo have dimmed to a faint orange haze on the edge of vision, ghostly and distant. Here, under the cover of a moonless night, the world returns to its ancient state. The air is cool. It moves across the dunes with a soft, sibilant hiss, shifting the grains of silica one by one. Shh, shh. It is the breathing of the earth. Look out into the darkness. The desert stretches to infinity. It is a vast, empty canvas, waiting for a brushstroke of divinity, and there, rising from the gloom, blotting out the field of stars, is the shadow. It does not look like a building. It looks like a tear in the fabric of the night, a perfect, triangular void where the stars simply cease to exist. This is the Great Pyramid. It stands before us not as a ruin, but as a geometric mountain. It is a shape so pure, so mathematically absolute, that it seems impossible that human hands dragged it into existence. It feels as though it grew here, pushing its way up through the crust of the planet, born from the bedrock itself. Tonight, we are not historians looking for facts. We are pilgrims looking for the feeling of deep time. We walk toward it. The sand gives way beneath our feet, soft and yielding. But as we approach the base of the structure, the ground becomes hard. The limestone bedrock rises up to meet us. We are entering the aura of the mountain. Stand at the foot of it. Crane your neck back. Look up. The black slopes ascend into the sky, narrowing, converging, disappearing into the velvet darkness of the heavens. You cannot see the top. You can only feel the mass of it. 6 million tons. Let that weight settle in your mind. 6 million tons of limestone and granite, quarried from the cliffs, floated on the Nile, and stacked here with a precision that defies the erosion of the ages. It sits heavy on the chest of the earth. It anchors the plateau. It is a paperweight for the world, holding the map in place. In the presence of such weight, the mind slows down. The anxiety of the day, the rushing of the hours, it all evaporates. The pyramid does not rush. It does not tick. It does not change. It is the mountain where time stands still, the locked box of eternity. It is said that fear comes from the unknown, but it comes from the unknowable. As we stand in the shadow of the Colossus, we feel a profound sense of awe. This structure was not built for the living. It was not a palace for a king to hold court. It was not a temple for the people to sing in. There are no windows here. There are no balconies. There are no doors meant to swing open for guests. It is a machine of silence. It was built for the dead. It was built for sleep. We explore the intention behind the stone. Khufu, the pharaoh, the god-king, ordered this mountain to be raised not to celebrate his life, but to secure his eternity. He knew that the flesh is weak. He knew that memories fade like footprints in a sandstorm. He wanted to stop the clock, and so, he built a box, a puzzle box of stone, locking his body and his soul away from the ravages of the wind and the theft of men. Touch the stones at the base. They are cool to the touch, rough and weathered. They have felt the sun rise over the Nile 1.5 million times. They have watched the world change around them. They saw the end of the Old Kingdom. They saw the Hyksos invaders riding their chariots through the dust. They saw the Greeks bring their philosophy, and the Romans bring their legions. They saw the armies of Napoleon marching in their blue coats. All of them came. All of them looked up at this same stone, and all of them passed away into the dust. But the pyramid remained. It is the only survivor of all the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the hanging gardens that bloomed in Babylon, the statue of Zeus that thundered in Olympia, the lighthouse that burned in Alexandria. They are all gone, broken, buried, forgotten. Only this remains. Why? Perhaps because it has no moving parts. Perhaps because it mimics the shape of stability itself, wide at the base, pointing to the one at the top, or perhaps, because it is protecting something. We circle the base, our footsteps echoing softly against the masonry. The wind whispers against the casing stones, seeking a crack, seeking a way in. "Let me in," the wind says. "Let me see," the sand says. But the pyramid does not answer. It holds its breath. It keeps its secrets tight within its dark, stone lungs. It is a vault, and like all vaults, it invites curiosity. What is inside? Is it gold? Is it wisdom? Or is it simply emptiness? Some believe that the pyramid is a library of stone, that its dimensions encode the circumference of the earth, the distance to the sun, the radius of the moon. They believe that if we could only learn to read the geometry, we would know the mind of God. Others believe it is a resurrection machine, a stargate designed to launch the soul of the king into the constellation of Orion, to sail the Milky Way for eternity. But tonight, standing on the plateau, we do not need answers. We need only the mystery. There is a comfort in the closed door. There is a peace in knowing that there are still things in this world that are hidden, things that refuse to be opened, things that belong to the silence, the apex of creation. We turn our eyes upward again, tracing the line of the corner, up, 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 toward the invisible peak. At the very top, 480 feet above us, there once sat a single stone, the Benben. It is gone now, lost to the looters or the earthquakes, but in our minds, we can see it. A pyramidion of polished granite, perhaps covered in electrum, a mixture of gold and silver. In the mythology of the ancients, the Benben was the first mound of earth that rose from the primordial waters of chaos at the beginning of time. It was the island of creation. The Great Pyramid is a recreation of that moment. It is the earth rising up to touch the sky. Imagine the dawn on the day it was finished. The sun, Ra, rising over the eastern desert. The world below is still in shadow, still asleep. But the tip of the pyramid, the tip catches the light. A single spark of fire at the top of the world. A beacon, a second sun, burning on earth. For a moment, the connection is made. Heaven and earth are linked by a conduit of stone. But that was long ago. Now, the gold is gone. The smooth white limestone casing that once made the pyramid shine like a star has been stripped away to build the mosques and palaces of Cairo. Now, it is a rough, stepped mountain. It has been humbled. It has been stripped of its jewelry, but it has not lost its dignity. If anything, it is more powerful now in its nakedness. It shows its bones. It shows its strength. We stand alone in the vastness of the plateau. The feeling is not one of loneliness, but of solitude. There is a difference. Loneliness is an emptiness. Solitude is a fullness. We are filled with the presence of the past. We are held in the protective gaze of the monument. We look down at our feet. In the soft sand at the base of the stones, we see the marks of our own shoes. But as we watch, a gust of wind sweeps across the ground. The sand shifts. The grains roll over one another. In seconds, our footprints are gone. Erased. Smooth. It is a gentle reminder. We are transient. We are visitors. We are here for a breath, a heartbeat, a blank. But the mountain is forever. It does not care about our footprints. It waits. It waits for the stars to turn. It waits for the river to shift. It waits for the cycle to complete. The silence of the desert descends upon us, heavy and sweet. The modern world feels very far away. The noise of the traffic, the glow of the screens, the worry of the mind, it all fades into the background. There is only the stone. There is only the dark. There is only the door. We are standing at the threshold of the greatest mystery on earth. We are standing before the last surviving wonder, and we are ready. We are ready to leave the starlight. We are ready to leave the open air. We are ready to enter the mountain. The wind dies down. The sand settles. The door of eternity is waiting. Knock softly, and let us go in. The throat of the stone god, the wound in the north face. We leave the desert air behind. We leave the comforting canopy of the stars. We leave the vast, open world of the horizon. We stand now at the base of the north face. Before us lies a wound in the mountain. It is not the original entrance that was hidden by the ancients, sealed behind a swivel door of polished limestone, so perfectly balanced that it vanished into the casing. invisible to the eye. No, we are entering through the robber's tunnel. It is a rough, jagged gash hacked into the body of the pyramid by the Caliph Al-Mamun more than 1,000 years ago. He came with fire and vinegar, with battering rams and greed, seeking the ruby of the king and the emerald of the priest. He found nothing but dust, but he left a way in. We step over the threshold. The transition is instant. The dry, restless heat of the desert night is cut off as if by a knife. In its place is a newer, cool, heavy, and still. It is air that has been pressurized by stone. It is air that tastes of dust and time. We are inside the mountain. The light of the moon does not follow us here. We are in the realm of the shadow. The walls close in, rough-hewn blocks of yellow limestone pressing against the shoulders, pressing against the mind. It is a claustrophobic sensation, yes. But if you relax into it, if you slow your breathing, it becomes something else. It becomes comforting. It is the feeling of entering a womb. It is the feeling of returning to the earth. We are no longer walking on the surface of the world. We are being swallowed. We are moving into the throat of the stone god. Listen. Tap, tap, tap. Our footsteps echo against the low ceiling, but the echo does not travel far. It is absorbed by the mass of the masonry. The silence here is thick. It is a physical weight. It rings in the ears, a high, thin tone that sounds like the vibration of a quartz crystal. We are walking through the anatomy of a giant. The tunnel slopes downward. We are leaving the world of the living, the world of the sun and the wind. We are descending into the roots. It is said that before one can ascend to the stars, one must first descend to the darkness. Before the soul can fly, it must learn to be heavy. This is the lesson of the descending passage. It is a narrow vein leading down through the heart of the structure, down through the constructed mountain, and deep into the bedrock of the plateau below. We are sinking. We are drifting deeper. The weight of the pyramid is above us now. 2 million blocks of stone, 6 million tons of rock. It hangs over our heads, suspended by the laws of physics and the genius of the architect. Do not fear the weight. Feel it. Feel the gravity of it pressing you down, grounding you, anchoring you to the center of the planet. We are traveling back in time, layer by layer, stone by stone. The chaos of the roots. The passage is steep. It is a slide into the underworld. The walls are smooth here, polished by the passage of phantom bodies. The air grows cooler, damper. We have crossed the threshold of the bedrock. We are no longer inside the building. We are inside the earth. And then, the tunnel opens. We spill out into a cavernous space. The darkness retreats, pushed back by the light of our imagination. This is the subterranean chamber. It is a place of profound mystery. Unlike the chambers above, which are finished with the precision of a jeweler, walls flat as glass, corners sharp as knives, this room is wild. It is chaotic. The floor is uneven, a jumble of rocky humps and depressions. The walls are rough, scarred by the chisel marks of workmen who laid down their tools 4,500 years ago and never returned. There is a pit in the center, a dark mouth yawning open to nowhere. There is a low passage leading to a dead end. Why? Why would the king, who commanded the resources of an entire empire, leave his basement unfinished? Some whispers tell us that it was a mistake, that the plans changed, that the architects realized the air was too stifling, the rock too unstable, but the ancients did not make mistakes. Everything in this mountain is intentional. Perhaps this room is not unfinished. Perhaps it is exactly as it was meant to be. This is the symbol of the primordial chaos. In the Egyptian creation myth, the world rose from the waters of none, the dark, swirling, unformed abyss. Order rose from disorder. The pyramid rises from the rough bedrock. We are standing in the chaos from which the order springs. We are standing in the subconscious of the pyramid. It is a place of shadows and uneven ground. It is the decoy for the spirits of the underworld. It is the false bottom of the box. Feel the silence here. It is different from the silence above. It is deeper. It is older. It is the silence of the cave. It is a heavy, subterranean quiet that wraps around the limbs and slows the heart. There is no time here. There is no day or night. There is only the rock. We sit on a rough ledge of limestone. We let the darkness wash over us. We imagine the workers here, their bodies glistening with sweat in the torchlight, chipping away at the living rock. Clink, clink, clink. We wonder if they knew the secret. We wonder if they knew that they were carving a basement for eternity, or perhaps they knew that this room was never meant to be used. It was meant to be felt. It was meant to be the anchor. The pyramid is a machine of ascension, yes. But a machine needs a foundation. A tree needs roots. This chaotic, unfinished, dark chamber is the root. It holds the energy of the earth, so that the chambers above can hold the energy of the sky. The turning of the tide, we linger in the cool dark. The weight of the mountain presses down, but it is a protective weight. It feels like a heavy blanket pulled up to the chin. We are safe here, safe from the changing world, safe from the noise, safe from the sun, but we cannot stay in the underworld forever. The journey of the soul is not a journey into the dark to stay. It is a journey through the dark to rise. We stand up. We turn back toward the tunnel. We look up the long, narrow shaft of the descending passage. Far, far away, at the top of the tunnel, there is a tiny square of light. It is the North Star, the imperishable one. It watches us from the throat of the passage. We realize now that the pyramid is not just a tomb. It is a lens. It focuses the energy of the earth and shoots it toward the stars. We have touched the bottom. We have grounded ourselves in the chaos. We have felt the cold, hard reality of the bedrock. Now, the tide turns. The momentum shifts. We feel a pull, not the pull of gravity, which drags us down, but a different kind of pull. A magnetic pull, a spiritual buoyancy. The true journey is about to begin. We retrace our steps. We climb out of the subterranean chamber. We leave the rough, unfinished rock behind. We move back into the tunnel, back into the throat. But we do not go back to the desert. We do not go back to the world of men. We stop at the junction. There, hidden in the ceiling of the descending passage, masked by a block of limestone that fell away centuries ago, is another hole, an ascending passage, a path that goes up. It leads into the heart of the masonry. It leads to the Queen's chamber. It leads to the Grand Gallery. It leads to the hidden heart of the king. We stand at the crossroads of the soul. Below us, the darkness of the roots. Above us, the mystery of the ascension. We pause for a moment in the cool, pressurized silence. We take a breath of the ancient air. We are ready to rise. We are ready to leave the throat and enter the mind of the stone god. The echo of our footsteps fades. The silence returns, heavy and sweet. The mountain holds us. The rock embraces us. We drift in the space between the earth and the sky, waiting for the path to open. Sleep now, in the safety of the stone. The descent is over. The ascent awaits. The hall of the echoing footsteps, the canyon of stone. We leave the chaos of the roots behind. We leave the rough, unfinished pit where the shadows gather in pools of ink. We turn our faces upward. We have passed the junction, squeezing past the massive granite plugs that were meant to bar the way forever. We have crawled through the narrow, horizontal passage, bent double like supplicants entering a shrine, and now, quite suddenly, the world opens up. We stand up. We can breathe again. We have entered the Grand Gallery. It is a shock to the senses. After the claustrophobia of the tunnels, this space feels impossibly vast. It stretches upward into the darkness, a soaring cathedral buried in the heart of the mountain. It is a canyon of stone. Raise your torch. The light flickers against the walls, revealing a masterpiece of geometry. The walls are not straight. They are corbelled, 7 layers of massive limestone blocks, each one stepping inward a few inches as they rise. They lean toward each other, reaching across the void, until they almost touch at the very top, 28 feet above our heads. It looks like an inverted staircase leading to the heavens. It looks like the ribcage of a whale that swallowed us whole. We begin the climb. The floor is not flat. It is a steep, smooth ramp, rising at a relentless angle of 26 degrees. It is slick underfoot. To walk here is to struggle against gravity. It is an arduous ascent, a physical test for every soul that dares to enter. We place our hands on the cool stone of the ramps on either side. We feel the slots cut into the rock, mysterious, rectangular niches that run along the length of the gallery. Were they for statues? Were they for beams? Or were they the sockets for some great, forgotten machine? The air here is different. It is still cool, still pressurized, but it feels charged. It feels expectant. We are walking in the central artery of the pyramid. We are climbing the spine of the god. The resonance of the soul. Listen. Ha, ha. Your own breath sounds loud in your ears. Scuff. Click. The sound of your shoe on the limestone floor does not just fade away. It travels. It shoots up the long, narrow tunnel. It bounces off the corbelled walls. It hits the high, vaulted ceiling and rains back down as a distorted whisper. This is the hall of the echoing footsteps. It is an acoustic chamber, a hall of sound. The architects who built this place understood the power of vibration. They built a space where silence is amplified, where a single chant could fill the air with the weight of a choir. Close your eyes for a moment. Let the darkness take you. Imagine the day the king died. Imagine the procession, the torches flickering in the gloom, casting long, dancing shadows against the stepped walls. The smell of frankincense and myrrh, thick and sweet, rising like a prayer, getting trapped in the high ceiling. Imagine the sound, the low, rhythmic chanting of the priests, the heavy thud of the wooden sledge carrying the sarcophagus, the friction of the ropes. He rises, he rises, he rises. The sound would have been deafening here. It would have vibrated in the chest. It would have shaken the dust from the cracks in the stone. The gallery was designed to amplify the ritual. It was designed to turn the human voice into the voice of a giant. But now, the priests are gone. The incense has turned to dust. The king has vanished. There is only the echo. We continue to climb. The ramp seems endless. The top of the gallery is lost in the gloom above. We reflect on the function of this space. Why build such a grand hall only to seal it up? Why create such beauty if no living eye was meant to see it? Some believe it was purely symbolic, a grand staircase for the Ka, the spirit of the pharaoh, to ascend to the northern stars. Others believe it was a machine. They say that this gallery was the engine room of the tomb. They say that massive granite blocks, the blocking stones, were stored here, held back by wooden beams slotted into the walls. They say that when the funeral was over, the ropes were cut. Crash, rumble, thud. The great engines of stone would have slid down this ramp, thundering like an avalanche, sealing the ascending passage forever. The gallery is a weapon against time, a weapon against thieves. It is a mechanism of closure, but tonight it is empty. The blocks are gone, the beams have rotted away. There is only the void. A grand cathedral with no pews. A hallway built for giants, stretching up into the dark. The threshold of the sanctum. We are nearing the top now. The muscles in our legs burn with the effort of the climb. This, too, is part of the design. The journey to the afterlife is not meant to be easy. It is a struggle. It is a mountain to be climbed. The soul must prove its worth. It must fight against the weight of the earth to reach the lightness of the sky. We reach the summit of the ramp. The floor levels out. We stand on a high platform, looking back down into the deep, dark well of the gallery. From here, the corbelled walls look like the sides of a deep ravine. The bottom is invisible. We are suspended in the stone. Turn around. Before us lies a low, humble doorway. It is made of red granite, dark and foreboding. It is so low that we will have to crouch to enter. It is the final threshold. Beyond this point lies the Holy of Holies. Beyond this point lies the sanctuary. Beyond this point lies the king. We pause here, poised on the brink. The atmosphere is solemn and majestic. The air is heavy with the gravity of what lies ahead. We run our hands over the rough limestone of the wall one last time. We bid farewell to the echo. We leave the grand gallery behind. We leave the soaring height, the stepped walls, the acoustic power. We prepare ourselves for the silence. The journey of ascent is over. The journey of arrival is about to begin. We take a deep breath, inhaling the dust of for millennia. We bow our heads. We step into the shadow of the granite. We cross the threshold, and the echo fades into the stone. The red heart of the granite. The change of frequency. We bow our heads one last time. We have climbed the ramp of the grand gallery. We have passed the great step. We have crouched through the low, humble entrance of the antechamber, passing under the slots where the granite portcullises once hung like guillotines, ready to seal the way. And now, we stand up. We cross the final threshold. The air changes instantly. The smell of dust and dry limestone vanishes, replaced by something sharper, something cooler, something metallic. We have entered the king's chamber. This is the heart of the pyramid. This is the destination. But look at the walls. They are no longer the soft, yellow limestone of the desert plateau. They are dark. They are dense. They possess a deep, rose-colored hue that seems to absorb the light of our torch rather than reflect it. This is granite. It is the red granite of Aswan, quarried from the burning south of Egypt, 500 miles away. Think of the journey these stones have made. They were cut from the living rock near the cataracts of the Nile. They were floated on great barges down the river, carried by the current of the flood, brought here to the north to build a room for a god. Run your hand over the surface of the wall. It is glass smooth. The joints between the massive blocks are so tight that not even a needle, not even a hair, can be inserted between them. It is a perfection that feels almost alien. But there is more to this stone than its hardness. Granite is a stone that sings. It is rich in quartz crystals. It is a piezoelectric material. When it is squeezed, when it is stressed by the weight of the mountain above, it generates a charge. It holds attention. We are not just standing in a room. We are standing inside a crystal. We are standing inside a massive stone bell. Close your eyes and listen. There is a hum here. It is on the very edge of hearing, a subaudible vibration that you feel in your teeth and in your bones. The limestone of the gallery was dead rock. It absorbed sound, but the granite of this chamber is alive. It amplifies sound. It resonates. This chapter of our journey focuses on the change of frequency. We have moved from the earthly to the celestial. We have moved from the mundane to the magical. The room is stark. There are no carvings. There are no hieroglyphs painted on the walls to guide the king. There are no stars painted on the ceiling. There is only the geometry, a perfect rectangle, 2 squares long and 1 square wide. The golden ratio written in stone. It feels serious here. It feels like the inside of a machine that has been turned off, but is still warm. We walk to the center of the room. Our footsteps ring out clearly, sharp and distinct. Click, click, click. And there, resting on the floor, stripped of all decoration, is the object, the sarcophagus, the empty vessel. It is a box cut from a single block of chocolate-colored granite. It is rougher than the walls. You can see the marks of the tubular drills used to hollow it out, tools that cut through the diamond hard rock with a speed and force that we still do not fully understand. One corner is broken. The lid is missing. It sits there, dark and heavy, like an open mouth. We approach it with reverence. This is the place where Khufu, the builder of the horizon, was meant to rest for eternity. But look inside. It is empty. There is no gold foil. There is no cedar wood. There are no linen wrappings smelling of myrrh. There is no bone dust. Where is the king? This is the great mystery that hangs over the chamber. When the Caliph Al-Mamun broke into this room in the year 820, he found it exactly as we see it now, empty. Was it robbed in antiquity? Did thieves somehow bypass the blocking stones, pick the lock of the pyramid, steal the mummy, and vanish without a trace? Or is there a deeper truth hidden here? Perhaps the king was never here. Perhaps this room was never meant to be a tomb. We explore the idea of the resurrection machine. In the ancient mind, a tomb was a house for the dead body to sleep in. But a pyramid was a vehicle for the soul to launch from. Let at the walls again. Feel the quartz. Feel the resonance. Maybe this room was not designed to hold a corpse. Maybe it was designed to hold a frequency. Imagine the ritual. The king lies in the box, not dead, but in a deep trance. The priests chant the secret vowels in the grand gallery. The sound rises, amplified by the stone. It hits the granite walls of this chamber. The room begins to ring. The quartz begins to vibrate. The sarcophagus becomes a cocoon of sound. And in that moment of perfect resonance, the soul of the king is shaken loose from the heavy chains of the earth. It is ejected from the body. It flies up the star shafts. It shoots into the belt of Orion. He did not die here. He ascended here. The body was just the booster rocket, left behind when the capsule reached orbit. So the emptiness of the sarcophagus is not a failure. It is a success. It is the sign of a departure. We look up at the ceiling. 9 massive beams of granite, weighing 50 tons each, span the room. They are cracked, split by some ancient earthquake, but they hold. And above them are the relieving chambers. We cannot see them, but we know they are there. 5 hidden layers of stone, stacked one on top of the other like a house of cards, with empty spaces between them. They were built to take the crushing weight of the pyramid and divert it away from this room. They are the invisible protectors. They create a zone of silence. Millions of tons of rock are pressing down, trying to crush this little hollow space. But the relieving chambers hold it back. They create a bubble of stillness in the center of the mountain. It is a perfect, protected void. A silence that has been guarded for 4,500 years. The traveler who is gone, we are alone in the red heart of the pyramid. The tourists have gone. The guards are asleep. The desert outside is quiet. There is a strange invitation here. The sarcophagus is just the right size for a human body. It is deep and wide. In your mind, lie down in it. Climb over the rough, broken edge. Lower yourself into the cool, dark granite box. Lie back. The stone is hard against your spine, but it feels stable. It feels permanent. Stare up at the cracked ceiling beams. The walls of the box cut off the rest of the room. You are enclosed. You are held. Listen to the silence. It is the deepest silence on earth. It is a silence that has mass. It presses against your eardrums. It slows your pulse. Thump, 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 thump. Your own heartbeat sounds loud, like a drum beating in a cave. Breathe in the air. It is the same air that Khufu breathed. It is the same air that Napoleon breathed when he asked to be left alone in this room, only to emerge pale and shaken, refusing to speak of what he saw. What did he see? Did he see the future? Did he see the past? Or did he just see the reflection of his own soul in the mirror of the granite? Lying here, in the center of the geometry, you feel a sense of peace wash over you. The anxiety of the world cannot reach you here. The radio waves cannot reach you. The noise of the city cannot reach you. You are insulated by the mountain. You realize that the emptiness of the room is not a void of nothingness. It is a void of potential. It is like a cup waiting to be filled, or like a bell waiting to be struck. The chamber is waiting. It is waiting for the traveler, but the traveler has already gone. The ritual is complete. The bird has flown. The cage is open. There is a beauty in that realization. We are visiting a monument to a success. We are standing in the launch pad after the rocket has gone. The energy that lingers here is not the heavy, mournful energy of death. It is the light, static energy of transformation. We slowly sit up. We climb out of the box. We run our hand along the smooth, red wall one last time, thanking the stone for its protection. We are ready to leave. We turn toward the low doorway. We will have to crouch to exit, to bow our heads once more as we return to the world of men, but we will carry the silence with us. We will carry the hum of the quartz in our bones. We leave the king's chamber as we found it. Dark, silent, red, a heart of stone beating slowly in the center of the night, waiting for the stars to turn, waiting for the next traveler. Sleep now. The room is safe. The king is gone. The silence remains. The tunnels that drink the starlight, the eyes of the chamber. We are still in the red room. We are still standing in the silence of the granite heart, where the empty sarcophagus rests like an open hand. But now, we must look away from the box. We must look away from the place of the body, and look toward the place of the spirit. Raise your torch. Let the light drift up the smooth, rose-colored walls. There, cut into the northern and southern faces of the chamber, suspended at waist height above the floor, are 2 openings. They are small. They are perfectly square, no larger than a handkerchief, roughly 8 inches by 8 inches. They are too small for a human to crawl through. They are too small even for a child. To the casual eye, they look like air vents. And for centuries, that is what men believed they were, ducts to bring the cool desert wind down into the stifling heat of the tomb. But the ancients did not build ventilation for the dead. The dead do not breathe air. The dead breathe eternity. These are not ducts for the wind. They are tunnels for the soul. They are the star shafts. Lean close to the opening on the northern wall. You can feel a draft, a faint, ghostly current of air moving through the stone. It smells of the outside world of ozone and night blooming jasmine and cold sand. This tiny square tunnel does not just go a few feet into the wall. It stretches. It cuts through the solid granite of the chamber wall. It pierces through the limestone core of the pyramid. It travels for over 200 feet, climbing at a precise, unwavering angle, straight through the millions of tons of masonry, until it breaks the surface of the monument high above. It is a feat of impossible engineering to build a diagonal shaft through a mountain of stacked stone, keeping it perfectly straight, perfectly square, layer after layer. It is a miracle. Why? Why go to such trouble for a hole the size of a book? Because the pyramid is not just a grave. It is an instrument. It is a telescope made of rock, and these shafts are the eyepieces. They are the eyes of the chamber, and they are looking for something very specific in the dark ocean of the sky. The anchor and the hunter let us follow the northern shaft first. We cannot enter it with our bodies, so we must enter it with our minds. We must become small. We must become weightless. Imagine floating up into the dark, square tube. The walls rush by smooth limestone, block after block, rising at an angle of 31 degrees. It is a long, dark throat, and at the very end, framed in the square aperture of the exit, is a light. It is a star, but not just any star. This shaft was aimed with the precision of a rifle barrel at a specific point in the heavens, the star Thuban, in the constellation of Draco, the dragon. In the time of the pharaohs, Thuban was the pole star. It was the one star in the sky that did not move, while all the other stars rose in the east and set in the west, traveling across the sky like weary travelers. Thuban stood still. It was the pivot point, the axis of the celestial wheel. The Egyptians called these northern stars the imperishable ones. They were the stars that never died. They never dipped below the horizon into the underworld. They were eternal, watchful, and constant. By aligning this shaft to the pole star, the architect was locking the pyramid into the machinery of the universe. He was creating a magnetic link between the king's chamber and the center of the sky. He was anchoring the earth to eternity. Now, let's turn to the south. There is another shaft here, facing the opposite direction. It rises at a steeper angle, 45 degrees. We float up this tunnel, soaring through the dark masonry, and at the end of this corridor of stone, we find a different light. We find Al-Nitak, the lowest star in the belt of Orion. To us, Orion is the hunter, but to the ancients, he was Osiris, the high god, the lord of the dead, the judge of souls, the god of resurrection. While the North Star represented stability and permanence, Orion represented the cycle of rebirth. Orion died in the west and was reborn in the east. He walked the path of the sun. This is the duality of the pyramid. One shaft anchors the king to the eternal, unmoving stillness of the north. The other shaft launches him into the dynamic, living cycle of the south. It is a machine designed to do two things at once: to hold the soul forever, and to set it free. Visualize the soul of the king. The Egyptians believed that the soul could take many forms. One of these forms was the Ba. It was depicted as a bird, a hawk with a human head. Imagine the Ba waking up in the darkness of the granite sarcophagus. The heavy lid is gone. The body is left behind. The bird shakes its golden wings. It flutters in the silent, red room. It circles the high ceiling, and then, it sees the opening. It sees the square of starlight waiting in the wall. It flies to the shaft. It enters the narrow tunnel. It launches itself. The shaft acts like the barrel of a cannon. It guides the flight of the soul. There is no room to turn left or right. There is no room to get lost in the masonry. There is only one way: up, up, through the weight of the rock, up, through the darkness of the tomb, up, toward the square of light that grows larger and brighter with every beat of the wings, and then, burst. The bird shoots out of the side of the pyramid. It leaves the stone behind. It is caught by the stellar wind. It flies straight into the heart of Osiris. The pyramid is the launchpad. The shaft is the trajectory. The star is the destination. The door with copper handles. But there is a final mystery hidden in these tunnels. A secret that remained buried until our own time. In the 1990s, Men sent a machine where they could not go. A small robot, a mechanical beetle with lights and cameras, crawled up the narrow shafts of the Queen's chamber, shafts that had been sealed up and hidden for thousands of years. It crawled up the steep incline, deeper and deeper into the unknown. And then, after 200 feet, it stopped. It hit a wall. It was not rubble. It was not a collapse. It was a deliberate barrier. It was a small, smooth slab of high-quality limestone, blocking the way, and in the center of this slab were two small pins. Two loops of corroded metal, copper handles. This is the Gantenbrink door. The world held its breath. Why put a door in a shaft that is only 8 inches wide? Why put handles on it? Who was meant to open it? A handle implies a hand, but no human hand could ever reach this deep into the solid rock. Was it a door for the bird to open? Was it a magical barrier? A checkpoint on the road to the afterlife? Or is it a physical seal, protecting something that lies beyond? Behind the door, the robot found a small chamber, and then another stone, another door. It seems the pyramid is a puzzle box that refuses to be solved. It creates a labyrinth of barriers, but perhaps that is the point. Perhaps the door is not meant to be open. Perhaps the mystery is the power. By blocking the shaft, the builders created a pressure. The soul travels up the tunnel, expecting release, and hits the door. The energy builds. The anticipation builds. And when the magical words are spoken, when the stars align, the door becomes permeable. It becomes mist. We leave the robot there, waiting in the dark before the copper handles. We leave the secret intact. We return to our own perspective. We are floating in the narrow dark of the southern shaft. We are suspended in the stone throat of the pyramid. Above us, far away, is the square of the night sky. It looks like an eye, the unblinking eye of the universe, staring down into the tomb. It is watching us. The starlight travels down the shaft. It has traveled across light years of empty space, across the cold void of the galaxy, to reach this planet. It enters the atmosphere. It enters the pyramid. It travels down the long, straight tunnel, never touching the walls. It is a corridor of light. The pyramid is drinking the starlight. It is pulling the energy of Orion down into the king's chamber, recharging the granite, keeping the machine alive. We hover there, in the silence. We are the connection. We are the spark in the wire. Below us is the earth, heavy and red. Above us is the cosmos, infinite and blue. We are the arrow resting on the string, waiting for the moment of release. The silence here is not empty. It is filled with the hum of the stars. It is filled with the promise of flight. The shaft holds us. The stone guides us. The star calls us. There is no ceiling anymore. The roof has dissolved. There is only the open way. Drift in the tunnel. Feel the draft of the stellar wind. You are the bird. You are the light. You are the memory of the stone. Sleep now in the corridor of the stars. The way is open. The chamber of the invisible breath, the rain from the stars. We have walked the tunnels. We have climbed the gallery. We have stood in the red granite heart. We have peered into the star shafts. We have touched every stone that can be touched. We have explored every corridor that the foot of man can tread. But the Great Pyramid has not yielded all its secrets. There is one more room. It is a room that does not appear on any map drawn by the explorers of the past. It was not found by the Caliph with his battering rams. It was not found by the archaeologists with their dynamite and their chisels. It was found by the sky. To understand this mystery, we must close our eyes to the world of stone and open them to the world of the invisible. Imagine, for a moment, that the night sky is raining. But this is not a rain of water. It is a rain of energy. It is a rain of subatomic particles, tiny, ghost-like messengers called muons, that are born from the collisions of cosmic rays in the upper atmosphere. They are falling on us right now. They fall through the roof of your house. They fall through your body. They fall through the deep earth. They are the silent, constant whisper of the universe, and they fall on the pyramid. For thousands of years, this invisible rain has washed over the stone mountain. Most of these particles pass straight through the limestone, sinking into the bedrock. But some are absorbed. Stone is dense. Air is empty. The rain falls differently through rock than it does through a void. And so, men of our time, seeking to look through the skin of the monument without breaking it, placed their plates of silver emulsion in the dark tunnels below. They waited. They let the stars paint a picture. They waited for the shadows of the rain, and when they looked at the image that the cosmos had drawn, they saw a ghost. They saw a shape where there should have been solid masonry. They saw a lightness where there should have been weight. Hovering there, suspended in the dark heart of the pyramid, floating directly above the grand gallery, was a space. It was not a crack. It was not a small hole. It was a cathedral. They called it the Big Void. But let us call it by its true name. Let us call it the Chamber of the Invisible Breath. The Hermetic Seal. Visualize it now. Float upward in your mind, passing through the ceiling of the grand gallery, passing through the massive stone blocks that weigh as much as elephants. Rise through the dark, solid limestone, and then break through. You're in a space that is at least 30 meters long. It is vast. It is silent. It is grand. It matches the scale of the gallery below, but it is hidden. There are no doors here. There are no tunnels leading in. There are no tunnels leading out. There is no robber's tunnel hacking into its side. It is a hermetically sealed pocket of ancient time. The air inside this room has not moved for 4,500 years. It is the same air that was trapped there on the day the last block was placed. It contains the dust of the old kingdom. It holds the scent of the workers' sweat, the smoke of their torches, the sound of their voices as they shouted to one another to heave the stone into place. And then, the roof was closed, and the silence descended. It is a silence deeper than the king's chamber. It is a silence that has never been broken by the footfall of a tourist or the breath of an explorer. It is a phantom room. Why is it here? Why build a massive hall, equal in size to the greatest chapel, only to hide it away in the core of the mountain, completely inaccessible? Was it a construction gap? A simple engineering trick to relieve the weight from the gallery below? Perhaps. The mind of the engineer seeks function, but the mind of the dreamer seeks meaning. And in Egypt, function and meaning were never separate. Every stone was a symbol. Every void was a vessel. Perhaps this is the true heart of the pyramid. We explore the mystery of the decoy. We know that the ancients feared the tomb robbers. They built false doors. They built dead-end tunnels. They left the sarcophagus in the king's chamber plain and unguarded. What if the king's chamber was a stage set, a distraction for the greedy? What if, while the robbers were breaking into the red room below, the true king was sleeping peacefully up here? Imagine a room filled with the treasures that were never found. The golden mask of Khufu, the solar boats made of cedar and gold, the statues of the gods watching over the body of the monarch, safe in the one place no one could ever reach. Or perhaps it holds a treasure greater than gold. Whispers tell us of the library of Thoth, the sacred books of wisdom that were written by the gods themselves, scrolls that contain the secrets of geometry, the true names of the stars, the power to overcome death. It is said that Khufu spent his life searching for these secret chambers of Thoth. Did he find them? Did he build this void to house them? Is this chamber a library of silence, where the knowledge of the antediluvian world waits in the dark, preserved in the dry, still air? The dwelling of the Ka. But there is another possibility, a more spiritual one. The Egyptians believed that a man was made of many parts. There was the Khat, the body, the Ba, the soul bird, the Ren, the name, and there was the Ka. The Ka was the vital spark. It was the spiritual double. It was the twin of the self that lived on after death. The body needed a tomb, but the Ka needed a house. It needed a place to dwell, a place to rest, a place to receive the energy of the offerings. Perhaps the big void is not a tomb for the body. Perhaps it is a mansion for the Ka. It did not need doors, for the spirit can walk through stone. It did not need tunnels, for the spirit moves with thought. It only needed space. It needed a void in the rock where it could exist, suspended between the earth and the sky, drawing power from the shape of the pyramid. This is the chamber of the spirit. Let yourself drift into this space. You are floating in the ghost chamber. The darkness is absolute. It is a velvet darkness, soft and heavy. There is no floor beneath your feet, only the sense of suspension. Breathe in. The air is stale, dry, and incredibly old. It tastes of stone and eternity. You are breathing the invisible breath of the past. You are floating in a time capsule that has never been opened. The chaos of the modern world feels very far away. The noise of the city, the lights of the streets, the ticking of the clock, none of it exists here. Here, it is still the fourth dynasty. Here, the pharaoh is still the god. Here, the magic is still strong. There is a profound sense of peace in this isolation. To be completely hidden, to be completely safe, to be known only to the stars that look down through the stone. The cosmic rain continues to fall. Drip, drip, drip. The muons pass through the ceiling. They pass through your spirit. They pass through the floor, continuing their journey to the center of the earth. They are the only visitors. They paint the portrait of the empty room. Day after day, century after century, we leave the mystery unsolved. We do not bring drills. We do not bring cameras. We do not wish to break the seal. Some things are meant to remain hidden. Some voices only echo when we are not listening. The big void hangs there, a secret bubble in the sea of stone. It holds the silence. It holds the breath. It waits, and we float with it, weightless, timeless, invisible, suspended in the dark heart of the mountain. Sleep now. The secret is safe. The void is yours. The boat of millions of years, the scent of the cedar, we drift now. We leave the pressurized silence of the star shafts. We leave the suspended mystery of the great void. We let our minds float down through the layers of limestone, down through the darkness, until we are standing once again at the base of the mountain. But we are not standing on the sand. We are standing at the edge of a pit. On the southern side of the Great Pyramid, buried beneath 40 massive blocks of limestone, the ancients hid a secret. It was not gold. It was not a statue. It was a smell. When the archaeologists first opened the seal in 1954, after 4.5 millennia of darkness, a scent drifted up into the desert air. It was sweet, resinous, and rich. It was the scent of cedar. It was the smell of the forests of Lebanon, preserved in a capsule of time. Lying in the pit, dismantled into 1,224 pieces, was a ship. It was a puzzle made of wood, planks of cedar, 10 meters long, oars carved from sycamore, ropes woven from half a grass. It was the solar barque. Let us sit by the edge of the pit in the moonlight. Let us watch as the invisible hands of the past begin to reassemble the pieces. Watch the planks lift from the dust. Watch the ropes thread themselves through the hidden loops. Watch the hull take shape, curving like the spine of a great fish. It is a magnificent vessel, 140 feet long. It has a high, curving prow and a stern that rises like the tail of a lotus flower. It has a cabin in the center, draped in linen, waiting for a passenger. But as we look at this ship, we notice something strange. There is no mast. There is no sail. The hull is sleek and streamlined, but it has no keel to cut the water. This boat was not built for the Nile. It was not built to navigate the muddy waters of the river, or to dodge the sandbars, or to carry grain to the market. It was built for a different river. It was built for the river of the sky. Look up. Stretching across the heavens, a band of luminous white light pours from the horizon to the zenith. We call it the Milky Way. The ancients called it the winding waterway. They believed it was a literal river, a current of light that flowed through the dark continent of the night sky. And this boat made of cedar and grass, this was the vehicle designed to sail it. The 12 hours of night. The pyramid is the port. The boat is the vessel. The destination is the sunrise. We explore now the ancient concept of the afterlife. To us, death is a sleep. It is a resting. But to the Egyptians, death was a voyage. It was an active, dangerous, glorious journey. The king did not just close his eyes and fade away. He stepped onto the deck of the solar barque. He took his place beside Ra, the sun god. Together, they embarked on the journey of the Amduat, the journey through the 12 hours of night. Feel the rhythm of the water. Dip, splash, dip, splash. The oars of the sycamore wood cut into the stardust. The boat sways gently, rocking on the celestial tide. We are moving west. The boat sails into the sunset, passing through the mountain of the horizon. The sky turns indigo. The stars come out like islands in the stream. This is the boat of millions of years. It is the vessel that carries the sun from the evening to the morning, day after day, century after century. The king stands at the prow. He is no longer a man of earth. He is a navigator of the cosmos. He must guide the boat through the caverns of the underworld. He must pass the gates of fire. He must answer the riddles of the guardians. And in the deepest part of the night, in the darkest hour, he must face the shadow. Beneath the hull, in the black waters of the abyss, swims Apophis, the serpent of chaos, the eater of light. He is the coil that seeks to stop the boat. He is the silence that seeks to swallow the sound. But the boat does not stop. The magic of the pyramid protects it. The prayers of the priests propel it. The resonance of the granite chamber acts as a shield. The king speaks the words of power. I am the one who passes. I am the one who shines. And the serpent recedes. The shadow falls back into the deep. The boat sails on. We return to the image of the big void inside the pyramid. That vast, empty, hermetically sealed hall. Perhaps that void was the spiritual dry dock for this boat. Perhaps the spirit of the ship resided there, floating in the invisible breath, waiting for the king to arrive. The pyramid is a machine of many parts. The stone anchors the earth. The shafts aim the soul. The void holds the space. And the boat bridges the gap. It moves from the solidity of the stone to the fluidity of the ocean. It is a transformation of state. Solid to liquid, liquid to light. The field of reeds, the night is ending. The boat has passed the 7th hour. It has passed the 8th. It is climbing the eastern curve of the sky. The indigo begins to fade. A pale violet washes over the horizon. We stand on the plateau, looking up at the apex of the Great Pyramid. In our mind's eye, we see the boat one last time. It is not buried in the pit anymore. It is hovering at the very top of the monument, balancing on the capstone. Its cedar planks are glowing with a golden light. Its oars are spread like wings. The wind of the dawn catches it. Whoosh! It lifts off. It does not fly like a bird. It sails. It rides the invisible currents of the morning air, rising higher and higher, shrinking into a speck of gold against the blue. It carries the soul of the king away from the earth, away from the heavy limestone, away from the desert dust. It carries him to the field of reeds, Eru. It is the paradise of the east, a place where the river never dries up, a place where the corn grows 7 cubits high, a place where the loved ones are waiting on the shore. The boat docks at the celestial pier. The king steps off. The journey is complete. But the boat returns. It always returns. Every evening, when the sun sets, the boat of millions of years returns to the western horizon, waiting for the next passenger, waiting for the next cycle, waiting for the sun to die so it can be born again. The pyramid remains below, silent and still. It is the empty port, the lighthouse that marks the shore. But the traveler has gone. The scent of cedar fades on the wind. The sound of the oars drifts away into the silence. There is only the sky, the vast, open, endless ocean of the sky, and you are drifting on it. You are lying in the cabin of the boat, wrapped in linen, rocking gently on the waves of the night. The stars are your map. The silence is your guide. Drift away. Sail into the west. Sleep now. The water is calm. The serpent is sleeping. The sunrise is waiting. The seal that must not break the architecture of no return. The boat has sailed. The star has been caught. The bird has flown. The rituals are complete. The prayers have been spoken. The incense has burned down to a pile of gray ash on the floor of the gallery. Now, there is only one task left. It is the most important task of all. It is the act of closure. We return our gaze to the interior of the mountain. We look not at the open spaces, but at the barriers. Throughout this structure, hidden in the shadows of the limestone corridors, there are gates. They are not gates of wood or iron. They are gates of stone. Massive, immovable blocks of granite and limestone, weighing tons, waiting for the moment of finality. We stand in the antechamber, the small room just before the king's chamber. Up, suspended above us, slotted into grooves in the sidewalls, are 3 slabs of solid granite. They are the portcullises. They hang there like the blade of a guillotine, held up by thick ropes of palm fiber and wooden logs. They are the eyelids of the tomb, and they are heavy with the sleep of ages. Imagine the moment. 4,500 years ago, the king is in his resting place. The priests have retreated. The workmen stand in the flickering torchlight, their skin coated in dust, their eyes wide with the solemnity of the hour. A signal is given. A hammer strikes a chisel. Clink. The rope is cut. Whoosh. Thud. The first slab falls. It slides down the grooves with the sound of grinding rock. It hits the floor with a force that shakes the mountain. Then the second rope is cut. Thud. Then the third. Thud. The way to the king is barred. A wall of solid red granite now stands between the living and the dead. It is a wall that says, "Go no further." But this is only the inner seal. We move back to the grand gallery. We look at the bottom of the ramp, where the ascending passage begins. Here, the architects hid their greatest deterrent. Resting on the ramp are 3 massive plugs of red granite, cut to the exact width of the tunnel. They have been waiting here since the day they were quarried. The workmen knock out the wooden beams that hold them back. Gravity takes over. The blocks begin to slide. They gather speed, rumbling down the slick limestone ramp like a train of thunder. They crash into the bottom of the passage, jamming themselves tight, sealing the throat of the pyramid. It is done. The silence that follows is deafening. It is the silence of a door that will never open again. The workmen who triggered this slide knew the truth. They knew that by cutting those ropes, they were changing the nature of the building forever. It was no longer a construction site. It was no longer a temple. It was now a fortress of silence. They turned their backs on the seal. They made their way down the escape shaft, the well shaft, a rough, vertical tunnel winding down through the grotto to the bottom of the pyramid. They crawled out into the desert night, leaving the interior to the dark. They left it sealed. They left it safe. The sanctity of the container. This chapter is a meditation on the sanctity of the hidden. We live in an age of exposure. We want to open everything. We want to unlock every door, seal every scroll, dig up every grave, scan every shadow. We believe that knowledge is the only good, and that mystery is a problem to be solved. But the ancients believed differently. They understood the power of the hermetic seal. They knew that some things are powerful because they are hidden. They knew that magic requires a container. Think of a bottle of rare perfume. As long as the stopper is tight, the scent remains potent. It is concentrated. It is alive. But the moment you unseal it, the scent begins to escape. It dissipates into the air. It fades. Or think of a seed in the ground. It must remain buried in the dark, unbroken, in order to germinate. If you dig it up to see if it is growing, you kill it. Perhaps the Great Pyramid works the same way. We reflect on the big void that hovers above us, the chamber of the invisible breath. We know it is there. Our machines have seen its shadow. The temptation to drill into it is overwhelming. We want to send our cameras in. We want to see what is on the floor. We want to know, but let us pause. Let us hold back the drill. What if the magic of the pyramid lies in its integrity? What if the void is a battery of spiritual energy, and the stone walls are the insulation? If we puncture the wall, do we break the circuit? Do we let the magic leak out into the mundane world, leaving us with nothing but an empty room and a broken spell? There is a tension here. The tension between curiosity and respect. Curiosity asks, what is inside? Respect asks, does it belong to me? The blocking stones answer with a stony silence. They say, it does not matter what you want. This place is not for you. There is a beauty in this refusal. There is a dignity in a secret that keeps itself. Imagine the air inside that sealed chamber. It is thick, heavy, and sacred. It is charged with the intentions of the builders. It is a reservoir of silence that balances the noise of the world outside. If we break the seal, we turn the sacred into the museum. We turn the mystery into data. And we have enough data. What we lack is awe. What we lack is the feeling of standing before a door that is locked, and bowing our heads, and saying, let it be. The guardian that refuses to step aside. We stand in the dark tunnel, facing the granite plug. It is rough to the touch. It is cold. It is unyielding. It is a guardian. It has stood here for 4,500 years, blocking the way to the heart of the king. Armies have marched past it. Empires have risen and fallen. The desert has shifted. The Nile has moved its course. Men have come with gunpowder and battering rams, trying to force their way in, but the plug remains. It is the physical embodiment of the word no, and in that no, there is a great comfort. It reminds us that we are not the masters of everything. It reminds us that there are limits. It reminds us that there are spaces in this universe that are reserved for the silence. We trace the cracks in the granite with our flashlight beam. We see the dust that is gathered in the crevices. We realize that the seal is not a barrier to the spirit. The spirit can pass through stone as easily as sunlight passes through glass. The seal is only a barrier to the ego. It stops the part of us that wants to possess, to catalog, to own. It forces us to stop. It forces us to just be. We back away. We leave the granite plugs in the dark. We leave the portcullises in the antechamber. We leave the Gantenbrink door in the star shaft. We leave the big void floating in its undisturbed isolation. We choose not to break the seal. We choose to leave the gift unwrapped, because an unopened gift is infinite. As long as the box is closed, it can contain anything. It can contain the secrets of the universe. It can contain the breath of God. It can contain the dreams of all mankind. The moment you open it, it collapses into just one thing, so let it be infinite. Let the pyramid keep its heart. We turn and begin the long walk back to the entrance. We move away from the heavy center, back toward the surface, back toward the air, but we carry the feeling of the seal with us. It is a feeling of safety, a feeling of containment. Just as the pyramid seals its secrets, you can seal your own mind for the night. You can close the doors of your senses. You can lower the portcullis against the worries of the day. You can create a sacred, silent void within yourself. A place where no noise can enter. A place where you can rest in perfect peace. The door is closed. The stone is set. The guardian is watching. The seal holds. Sleep now. Behind the walls of sleep, you are safe. The secret is kept. The weighing of the silence. The hall of two truths. The stone plugs have slid into place. The granite portcullis has fallen. The workmen have gone. The last torch has been extinguished. The physical world has been locked away. Now, the spiritual world begins to open. We leave the king's chamber. We leave the grand gallery. We drift out of the stone and into the space that lies between the stone. We stand at the threshold of a new hall. It is not made of limestone or granite. It is made of shadow and memory. The Egyptians called it the Duat, the underworld, but specifically, we are entering the Hall of Ma'at, the Hall of Two Truths. It is vast. The ceiling is lost in the darkness above, supported by columns of black obsidian that shimmer like water. The floor is a mist, cool and swirling around our ankles. There is no sound here. There is no wind. There is only a profound, waiting stillness. At the far end of the hall, seated on a throne of lapis lazuli, waits Osiris, the Lord of the Silence, the Green Man, the one who died and rose again. But before we can reach him, before the traveler can pass into the field of reeds, there is a test. There is a machine standing in the center of the room. It is a set of scales. They are tall, wrought from pure gold that glows with its own inner light. They stand perfectly still, balanced on a fulcrum of diamond. This is the moment of judgment. In the world above, under the sun, we measure things by their size. We measure the pyramid by its tonnage. We measure the empire by its borders. We measure a life by its years. But here, in the dark, there is only one measurement that matters, the measurement of weight. We watch as the traveler, the king, or perhaps the soul of the listener, steps forward. He carries a small jar in his hands. It is an earthen vessel, fragile and red. It contains his heart, the Ib. To the ancients, the heart was not just a pump for blood. It was the seat of the mind. It was the record keeper of the soul. Every thought, every deed, every kindness, and every cruelty was recorded in the tissues of the heart. Every moment of anger made it heavier. Every moment of truth made it lighter. The traveler places the heart on the left pan of the golden scale. Clink. The scale tips. The heart is heavy with the memories of the earth. Now, we look to the other side. On the right pan, the god Anubis, the jackal-headed guardian of the twilight, places a single object. It is not a bar of gold. It is not a jewel. It is a feather. It is the white ostrich plume of Mot. The geometry of order Mot. It is a word that means truth, but it means more than that. It means order. It means balance. It means justice. It means the rightness of the world. Mot is the rhythm of the sunrise. Mot is the flowing of the Nile. Mot is the geometry of the stars. The pyramid itself is a temple to Mot. Think of the structure we have just explored. Think of the perfect alignment to the north. Think of the stones cut to within a fraction of a millimeter. Think of the square base, the four faces, the apex. It is a fortress of order standing in the middle of the chaos. Outside, the desert is wild. The dunes shift with the wind. The sandstorms rage. The river floods and recedes. The world is unpredictable. But inside the pyramid, everything is fixed. Everything is precise. Everything is still. The pyramid was built to be a heavy counterweight on the scales of the earth. It holds the world steady. And now, the soul must prove that it is just as steady. The scale begins to move. The golden arm swings. On one side, the heart. On the other, the feather. If the heart is heavy with lies, with greed, with chaos, it will sink, and the soul will be lost to the devourer, the beast that waits in the shadows. But if the heart is light, if the heart has lived in accordance with the truth, it will float, it will balance. This is the invitation to you, the listener, as you lie in the dark. Weigh your own heart. Let go of the heavy things. Let go of the anger of the day. Let go of the worries of tomorrow. They are stones in your pocket. They will drag the scale down. Breathe them out. Exhale. Feel your heart becoming lighter. Feel it becoming porous, like a sponge releasing water. Imagine your heart is made of light. Imagine it is made of air. It is as light as the feather. We look up into the darkness above the great gallery, to the big void we explored before. Perhaps that hidden, inaccessible chamber is the spiritual theater for this judgment. It is a void. It is empty. It is pure. Maybe the void is not empty at all. Maybe it is filled with Mot. Maybe it is the reservoir of truth that keeps the pyramid standing. The king does not need to bring a book of prayers. He does not need to bring a map. He only needs to bring his lightness. The walls of the pyramid protect him from the chaos outside. The silence of the pyramid protects him from the noise of the world. He stands in the center of the needle's eye. The silence is the test. The arm of the scale slows down. It wavers, up, down, and then it stops. The beam is perfectly horizontal. The heart and the feather are equal. The equilibrium is achieved. This brings us to the final mystery of the Great Pyramid. In the tombs of the later pharaohs, in the Valley of the Kings, the walls are covered in writing. The Book of the Dead, the Book of Caverns, spells, incantations, maps, passwords. They wrote everything down, terrified that they might forget the way. But in the Great Pyramid of Giza, there is nothing. There are no hieroglyphs. There are no carved names. There are no painted stars. The walls of the king's chamber are bare red granite. The walls of the Grand Gallery are bare limestone. Why? Why leave the greatest monument in history blank? Because words are heavy. Words are imperfect. Words can be misunderstood. Words belong to the world of men. The builder of the Great Pyramid understood that in the presence of the divine, words are unnecessary. The silence is the text. The geometry is the prayer. The test of the pyramid is not a test of memory. It is a test of stillness. Can you stand in the absolute dark, in the absolute quiet, and not be afraid? Can you face the void and find your own balance? If you can, then you are ready. The king has passed the test. The scale is balanced. The silence has been weighed, and it has been found true. Thoth, the scribe of the gods, marks the result on his palette. Ma Keru, true of voice. And now, the final gate opens. It does not open with the creak of hinges. It does not open with the grinding of stone. It opens like a mist dissolving in the morning sun. The wall behind the throne of Osiris fades away, and beyond it, we see the light. It is not the harsh light of the desert sun. It is the soft, golden, eternal light of the field of reeds, the place of peace. The place where the water is always cool. The place where the journey ends. The traveler steps off the scale. He steps through the gate. He leaves the weight of the pyramid behind. He leaves the stone behind. He becomes the light. We are left alone in the hall of judgment. The scale stands empty, glinting in the dark. The silence returns. But it is not a heavy silence anymore. It is a peaceful silence. It is the silence of equilibrium. The world is in balance. The night is in balance. You are in balance. Your heart is light as a feather. You are floating. You are free. The gate is open for you to step through. Step into the quiet. Sleep now. The judgment is over. You are true. The architect of the invisible, the man on the empty plateau before the first stone was cut from the quarry, before the first barge floated down the Nile, before the first chisel struck the rock. There was a thought. We travel back now, further than we have gone before. We travel back to a time when the Giza Plateau was nothing but a windswept ridge of limestone, rising above the green valley of the river. There are no pyramids here yet. There is no sphinx watching the sunrise. There is only the wind blowing the golden sand across the empty bedrock. And there is a man. He stands alone on the edge of the escarpment. His name is Hemiunu. He is the vizier. He is the cousin of the king. He is the master of works. But tonight, he is simply a dreamer. He stands with his arms crossed, looking out at the emptiness. The wind tugs at his white linen robe. The stars will overhead in the velvet sky. To anyone else, this place is a wasteland. But to Hemiunu, it is already full. He does not see the empty sand. He sees the mountain. He holds the entire structure in his mind. He feels the weight of it pressing against his thoughts. 6 million tons of stone, arranged in a perfect symphony of geometry. He sees the base, square and true, aligned to the four corners of the world. He sees the sides rising at the sacred angle of 51 degrees. He sees the apex piercing the heavens. But he sees more than the outside. He is the architect of the invisible. His mind travels inside the phantom mountain. He sees the tunnels that do not yet exist. He sees the long, descending passage diving into the chaos of the underworld. He sees the queen's chamber. He sees the grand gallery rising like a cathedral. He is designing the silence. This is the great paradox of his work. He is preparing to build the largest solid object on Earth, a mountain of sheer, crushing density. And yet, the most important parts of the structure are the parts that are not there. He is building around a space that cannot be seen. He is shaping the stone to define the emptiness. Think of the mind required to do this. There were no computers then. There were no complex machines. There was only the human intellect, sharp and clear as a diamond. He had to calculate the stress of the granite beams. He had to calculate the angle of the star shafts. He had to ensure that the air would flow, that the weight would be relieved, that the secret would be kept. He stands there on the plateau, a solitary figure against the vastness of the night. He is the conductor of a silent orchestra. He lifts his hand, tracing a line in the air, and in the silence of his mind, the first stone falls into place. The geometry of the soul. We move from the plateau to the study of the architect. It is a room of shadows and lamplight. The air smells of papyrus and ink. Spread out on a table of cedar wood is the plan. It is a scroll, unrolled and held down by weights of polished stone. On the surface of the paper, drawn in fine black and red ink, is the blueprint of eternity. We look over his shoulder. We see the grid lines. We see the calculations. We see the sacred geometry. To Hemiunu, mathematics was not a secular tool. It was a spiritual language. It was the language of the gods. To draw a perfect square was to invoke the stability of the earth. To draw a triangle was to invoke the power of the Benben, the mound of creation. To calculate the ratio of the circle was to touch the infinite. He is writing a spell, but the words of the spell are numbers. He dips his reed brush into the ink. He draws the location of the big void, the chamber of the invisible breath. He places it high above the gallery, floating in the center of the masonry. He smiles. He knows secrets about this pyramid that the king himself might not fully understand. Khufu is the pharaoh. He is the god king. He commands the resources. But Hemiunu commands the secret. He knows where the hidden chambers are. He knows how the blocking stones will slide. He knows exactly which lever must be pulled to seal the tomb forever. There is a loneliness in this knowledge. The creator is always alone. He is the only one who sees the whole picture. The workmen see only the block in front of them. The priests see only the ritual. The king sees only his immortality. But the architect sees the machine. He sees the interplay of forces. He sees the tension between gravity and spirit. He is building a staircase to heaven, but he knows that a staircase must be built on a foundation of absolute logic. We explore the spiritual intent behind the logistics. We imagine the logistical miracle of the construction, the quarries, the barges, the ramps, the thousands of men. But to Hemiunu, this was not just labor, it was an act of worship. Every stone that was dragged across the sand was a prayer. Every drop of sweat was an offering. He was aligning the earth with the stars. He walks out onto the balcony of his palace. He looks up at the northern sky. He sees the imperishable ones. He sees Thuban, the pole star, holding its position in the dark. He holds up his plumb line. He checks the alignment. It must be perfect. If the pyramid is twisted by even a fraction of a degree, the soul of the king will miss its target. The connection will be broken. The magic will fail. The burden of the afterlife rests on his shoulders. He is the navigator who steers the stone ship, and he steers it by the light of stars that are billions of miles away. The ghost in the gallery. The years pass. The mountain rises. The desert floor is covered in the dust of construction. The air is filled with the sound of copper chisels and the chanting of men. But Hemiunu walks through the chaos in silence. He walks through the growing tunnels. He runs his hand along the walls of the grand gallery, checking the smoothness of the limestone. He listens. He listens to the echo. He listens for the groan of the rock. He is checking the stress. He climbs into the king's chamber before the roof is put on. He stands in the open red room, looking up at the sky. He knows that soon, this room will be covered by millions of tons of stone. He knows that the sun will never touch this floor again. He is saying goodbye to the space. He is blessing the void. Does his ghost still walk here? Whispers tell us that the spirit of the architect never left the building. Some believe that when the pyramid was sealed, a part of Hemiunu stayed behind. Not his body, for he was buried in a grand mastaba in the shadow of his creation, but his mind. His consciousness is woven into the architecture. He is the guardian of the secret. He is the one who watches over the big void. He is the one who keeps the blocking stones in place. He is the one who ensures that the star shafts remain open to the light. We imagine him now, a phantom figure in a white robe, standing at the top of the grand gallery in the eternal dark. He is checking the work. He is satisfied. The geometry holds. The silence holds. The final image of the chapter takes us to the day of completion. The golden capstone is ready to be placed. The entire plateau is silent, watching the final piece ascend. Hemiunu stands at the base. He is an old man now. His hair is gray. His hands are weathered. He looks up at the finished mountain. It is blindingly white, covered in smooth limestone, shining like a second sun. It is no longer a drawing on a scroll. It is a reality. He turns away. He walks back to his study. He sits down at the table of cedar wood. He takes the papyrus scroll, the blueprint of the hidden chambers, the map of the secret voids, the key to the machine. He rolls it up. Crackle. He ties it with a linen cord. He seals it with a clay seal. He locks it away in a chest of ebony. The work is finished. The secret is locked away in his heart and in the stone. The architect has completed the invisible. He closes his eyes. He listens to the wind blowing across the plateau, the same wind that blew when there was nothing there. But now, the wind must go around the mountain. The shape is set. The echo is eternal. Sleep now. The plan is perfect. The architect is resting. The light at the top of the world, the summit of the silence. We have explored the roots in the chaotic bedrock. We have climbed the echoing gallery. We have rested in the red granite heart. We have looked through the eyes of the star shafts. Now, we must leave the interior. We must ascend the final 481 feet. We must climb the exterior face, step by giant step, stone by giant stone, until there is no more stone to climb. We stand at the very peak of the Great Pyramid. Today, if you were to stand here, you would find a flat, rough platform, 30 feet square. There is a wooden pole stuck in the center, marking the original height. The stones are weathered, scarred by the initials of travelers from centuries past. But close your eyes. Let the scars heal. Let the missing stones return from the dust. Visualize the completion. We are looking for the final piece. The crown jewel of the mountain. It is called the Pyramidion. It was a single block of stone, perhaps granite, perhaps hard limestone, carved into a perfect pyramid in miniature. It was the seed from which the geometry of the whole structure flowed, and it was the capstone that sealed the perfection. But it was not just stone. It was covered in a sheet of electrum. Electrum is a natural alloy, a marriage of gold and silver. It possesses the imperishable warmth of the sun and the cool, reflective purity of the moon. Imagine it sitting there at the apex, a point of pure, polished metal, sharp enough to cut the sky. It was the point of contact. It was the lightning rod for the divine. In the ancient mind, the earth and the sky were separated lovers. The earth lay flat, heavy and passive. The sky arched above, vast and unreachable. But the pyramid was the bridge. It was the needle that stitched the two worlds together, and the capstone was the knot. It was the place where the heavy, material world of the rock tapered off into nothingness, and the spiritual world of the light began. It was the 0 point. Stand there in your mind. The air is thin and cold. The wind whips around you, untouched by the desert floor below. You are standing on the shoulders of a giant, head in the clouds, feet on the monument. You are waiting for the dawn, the first ray of Ra. The night is ending. The stars, the imperishable ones, are fading into the violet wash of the eastern horizon. The world is gray and silent. The Nile is a ribbon of black ink. The desert is a sea of ash. And then, the moment comes. It happens in silence, but it is the loudest thing in the world. The sun, Ra, crests the mountains of the east. The first ray of light shoots across the valley. It flies over the sleeping cities, over the palm groves, over the river. It does not touch the ground. The valley floor remains in shadow, but it strikes the capstone. Flash. Suddenly, the top of the pyramid ignites. It glows like a second sun. The electrum catches the fire of the morning and amplifies it, sending a blinding beam of light radiating out in all directions. To a farmer standing in the fields miles away, looking up from his work, it would have seemed as though a star had descended to rest on the earth. It was a beacon, a lighthouse of the spirit. This moment of ignition was the daily miracle of the Old Kingdom. It was the proof that the king was united with the god. As the sun rises higher, the light begins to flow down the sides of the pyramid. It is a cascade of illumination. We must remember that the pyramid we see today is a skeleton. Its bones are exposed. But when it was new, it was covered in skin. It was encased in Tora limestone. These were massive blocks of stone, white as snow, polished to a mirror finish, fitted together with such precision that the joints were invisible. As the sun climbs, the light hits the white casing. The pyramid transforms. It ceases to be a mountain of stone and becomes a mountain of light. It shines with a blinding white intensity. It reflects the sun so powerfully that it would have been painful to look at directly. It was the Akhet, the glorious light. This brings us to the deepest myth of the pyramid. The myth of the Benben. Whispers tell us that in the beginning, there was only none, the dark, swirling, chaotic waters of the abyss. There was no land, no air, no life. Then, by an act of will, a mound of earth rose from the waters. It was the primeval mound, the first solid thing, the island of creation, the Benben. And when the sun rose for the very first time, it landed on this mound. The Great Pyramid is a recreation of that myth in stone. The void, deep below in the bedrock, is the primordial cave. The limestone core is the rising earth, and the gold capstone. The capstone is the summit where the light touches down. It is a machine of creation. By building this shape, the architect was freezing the moment of Genesis. He was saying, here is where order begins. Here is where the chaos stops. We watch the light flood the plateau. The shadows retreat. The world wakes up. The pyramid stands in the center of it all, radiant, white, and capped in gold. It is an anchor of purity. It is the light at the top of the world. The return of the silhouette, but the day must pass. The cycle must turn. The sun travels across the sky in the boat of millions of years. It reaches its zenith, pouring heat onto the white stones. It begins its descent into the west, toward the land of the dead. We watch the light fade. The blinding white of noon softens to a warm, honey-colored gold, then to a deep orange, then to a bruised purple. The shadows lengthen again. They stretch out from the base of the pyramid, reaching across the sand like the hands of a clock, counting down the hours of the empire. The light leaves the base. It climbs back up the sides, up, 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 until only the capstone remains illuminated. For one final moment, the tip of the pyramid glows red against the darkening sky. It holds the last memory of the day, and then, the sun slips below the horizon. The gold fades to gray. The gray fades to black. The pyramid returns to its silhouette. It becomes a dark triangle cut out of the indigo sky. It becomes a void once more. The cycle is complete. The triumph of the light gives way to the mystery of the dark. We are left with a sense of emotional closure. We have seen the earth touch the sky. We have seen the stone become a star. We realize that the capstone is missing now, not because it was stolen, but perhaps because it was never meant to last forever. The physical gold can be lost. The stone can crumble, but the idea of the connection, that remains. The point where the finite meets the infinite is still there, invisible in the air above the ruined summit. The lightning rod is still active. We stand in the darkness of the plateau one last time. The wind blows from the north, cooling the heated stones. The stars begin to appear. Fuben, Orion, Sirius. They take their places in the canopy of the night. They look down at the dark mountain that was built to mirror them. The pyramid waits. It is silent. It is heavy. It is at peace. It has done its work. It has held the light. Now it holds the dark. The journey is over. The mountain is sleeping, and you are sleeping with it. You are standing at the top of the world, breathing the thin, clean air of eternity. There is nothing above you but the stars. There is nothing below you but the stone. You are the point of contact. Drift away now. Let the gold fade. Let the white stone dim. Let the silence take you. Sleep. The eternal sleep of the desert, the great exhale. And now, the journey is done. We have climbed the mountain of light. We have stood at the summit where the earth touches the sky. We have seen the gold fade into the twilight. It is time to come down. It is time to withdraw. Let your spirit float away from the apex. Let it drift down the long, sloping sides of the monument, gliding over the rough, weathered stones like a shadow passing over the land. We leave the high, thin air of the peak. We sink back toward the earth. We pass the empty socket where the capstone once sat. We pass the entrance to the star shafts, those narrow eyes that are forever fixed on Orion and the dragon. We pass the hidden entrance, sealed behind its limestone block. We float out into the cool, open expanse of the desert. Night, take a deep breath. The air here is different from the air inside. It is free. It is moving. It carries the scent of cooling sand and the distant, watery smell of the Nile. We pull back. We retreat across the plateau, moving further and further away, until the Great Pyramid is no longer a mountain that fills our vision, but a shape on the horizon. It stands there, silent and absolute. It has stood there for 1,642,000 days. It has seen the sun rise and set more than 1.5 million times. And as we look at it now, resting under the canopy of the indigo night, we realize something profound. The pyramid is not dead. We often think of ruins as dead things, skeletons of a time that has passed. But this structure does not feel like a skeleton. It feels like a body in repose. It is sleeping. It is a giant that has lain down on the sand, folded its arms, and closed its eyes. It is resting. Its work is done. Its purpose has been fulfilled. The king has been launched. The soul has flown. The ritual is complete. Now, there is only the waiting. The atmosphere on the plateau is one of ultimate peace. The tension of the construction is gone. The chanting of the priests is gone. The anxiety of the tomb robbers is gone. There is only the stone, and the night, and the silence. It is a silence that feels heavy, like a velvet cloak wrapped around the shoulders of the world. The drift of the eons look down at the base of the pyramid. The wind is blowing gently from the north. It picks up the grains of golden sand and carries them across the bedrock. Hiss, hiss. The sand drifts against the bottom course of the casing stones. It piles up in soft, undulating waves. It is the desert trying to reclaim its child. The stone came from the earth, and the earth wants it back. The sand is patient. It knows that mountains eventually crumble. It knows that rock eventually turns to dust. But the pyramid resists. It does not fight back with force. It fights back with stillness. The sand rises, and the pyramid waits. The sand falls away, and the pyramid remains. It is a slow, geological dance between the fluid and the solid. We reflect now on everything we have seen. We weave the threads of our journey together into a single tapestry of memory. We think of the chaotic bedrock deep below, the root of the mountain. It is the subconscious mind, dark and uneven. We think of the Queen's Chamber and the Grand Gallery, the soaring architecture of the heart. We think of the King's Chamber, the red granite room of resonance, vibrating with the power of the quartz. We think of the big void, the chamber of the invisible breath, hanging in the dark like a held note. And we realize the truth. We came here looking for gold. We came here looking for mummies. We came here looking for the secret knowledge of the gods. But the hidden thing inside the pyramid, the true treasure that Hemiunu locked away, was none of those things. The treasure is silence. It is a preserved silence. A silence that has been hermetically sealed for 4,500 years. Imagine that air inside. It is air that has not vibrated with the sound wave since the Old Kingdom. It is a pocket of absolute stillness. In a world that is loud, in a world that is constantly moving, constantly changing, constantly speaking, the pyramid holds onto this one perfect thing. It holds onto the quiet, and it offers that quiet to you. You do not need to enter the tunnels to find it. You can find it right now, wherever you are. You can build a pyramid in your own mind. You can lay a foundation of calm breath. You can build walls of heavy relaxation. You can cap it with the thought of peace. And inside that mental fortress, you can create a chamber where the noise of the day cannot reach, a chamber where the worries of tomorrow cannot enter, a chamber of invisible breath. The watcher of the night deepens. The darkness becomes total. The only light comes from the stars. Look up. The great wheel of the cosmos is turning overhead. It turns slowly, majestically, pivoting around the North Star. The constellations rise in the east and set in the west, sailing their own boats of millions of years. Draco, Orion, Sirius, the Pleiades, they look down at the earth, and the earth looks back. The Great Pyramid is the eye of the earth. It lies there in the dark, watching the stars. It is the witness. It remembers when those stars were in different positions. It remembers when the pole star was Thuban. It remembers when the Nile flowed closer to its feet. It has seen it all, and it remains unmoved. There is a great comfort in that permanence. We feel ourselves becoming heavy. We feel ourselves becoming like the stone. Your limbs are heavy limestone blocks, resting on the bedrock. Your chest is the granite chamber, strong and solid. Your breath is the wind in the shafts, moving effortlessly in and out. You are stable. You are grounded. You are safe. The desert surrounds you. It is a vast ocean of sleep. Let your thoughts drift like the sand. Let them blow across the surface of your mind, forming soft dunes, shifting and changing, but never disturbing the deep rock underneath. Drift. Drift. The architect has rolled up his scroll. The workmen have gone home. The king has sailed away. The doors are sealed. The silence is absolute. We leave the Great Pyramid now. We leave it to its eternal vigil. It stands against the stars, a dark triangle of peace. It is guarding the sleep of the world, and it is guarding your sleep too. Sink into the velvet embrace of the desert night. Sink into the deep time. The stone is warm. The air is cool. The stars are bright. And the silence is yours. Sleep.